Breaking news kind of afternoon. So we're going to be following a bunch of different headlines, some of those international. This one out of Texas. The jury very quickly reached a verdict in this trial of, man, I'm getting the kids' names mixed up now. Carmelo Anthony. He is being accused, of course, of murdering Austin Metcalf, which he did. Now we're waiting to see what the jury's going to say. What came up last night, and I guess this is what we're waiting on. Clearly, it's not a hung jury. They've reached a verdict, so that's off the table. That would have been probably the best scenario for the Anthony defense, but they've allowed them to include lesser manslaughter charges. Manslaughter in Texas creates a situation where Anthony would be facing up to 20 years in prison, and then there's the pretty much a life sentence up to 99 years or whatever it was for the original charge. So I think that's what we're waiting to see is what did the jury find. Now, it could be not guilty, but I think that would be a surprise to people that have been following the case. There's just there's no reasonable world where not guilty is on the table, especially that quickly. And I wasn't in the trial. Y'all weren't in the trial. Why am I losing my voice? I haven't even gotten started yet. How you doing in there, AJ?
Man, I'm too blessed to be depressed, man. I'm doing good.
So, I've given this speech over and over again. We got to let the system play out here. This was a fair trial by all estimates. There's nothing unfair about this trial. Both sides got their chance to present witnesses, but they're the most ignorant people that exist in our society, standing outside of that courthouse and just doing the stupidest things. The truth is, there's only a handful of them. They're getting a lot of attention on national media right now because there are live cameras out there, and there's no doubt that these extremely unreasonable people, wrapped in emotion and full of myths about what they think this case is about, will probably act like foolish people as soon as the verdict comes out. And the reason they will do that is because they're foolish. My experience in life, and it's almost 100% track record of people that I quickly identify as idiots, continue to be that way. There's not much improving people that just want to be idiots. So there are a lot of idiots dancing around, making noise, confronting each other. I don't know why people do that. Don't people have damn jobs? I'm at work right now. AJ, would you have time to go down to a trial and jump around in the parking lot and yell at people?
No. I mean, only time I will do that if I have to go out there and report on the story.
Even this guy that clearly is defending Metcalf, he's wearing an American flag shirt and he's being confronted by people dressed like they just got off the boat from Africa up in his face. What's he doing there? What's any of these people doing down there? Unless they're in the families, they don't know anything about this case. They're just – anyway, what we're going to cover is what the jury actually said. The both sides got to present. I don't know how long they deliberated. I think it was a little over 2 hours. The closings are very quick today. The prosecution was so confident in their case, they didn't even want to go first. And that's generally where the defense doesn't have much to argue, and whatever they throw at the jury, you're going to be able to quickly challenge. It comes down to this. There is no question. I heard a very dumb lady talking to a news reporter today about she kept using trying to evoke the idea that maybe Anthony didn't do it. Maybe space aliens did it or somebody else did it. And there were hundreds of people out there, dozens of witnesses saw it. The kid admitted it. He ran away, threw the knife. He acted in a moment of passion. In our system, you do hate to see him go to prison. Well, I mean, some people don't. Some people want the death penalty for him. But this kid had been in trouble before. That's not allowed in the trial. He was suspended from school for carrying a knife to school. It was not supposed to be at certain school events. He was a very troubled kid, and he brought that trouble and his knife with him and created a confrontation at a track meet and decided the death penalty was what Metcalf got for hurting his feelings. You can't do that. There's no self-defense claim. His life wasn't in danger. He wasn't ganged up on. Metcalf didn't assault him in any way, and he pulled a knife out, stabbed him in the chest, and killed him in front of his twin brother. Those are the facts of the case. We'll see what the jury says. It's a national outrage. Now, there's another case that popped up overnight in another country that's got there's damn near riot conditions about to take place around part of the United Kingdom again and in Ireland. And apparently this is how this goes. This Somali refugee that got refugee status in that area back in the 20s during the Biden administration had a guy down on the ground on his knees. He's over the guy or sitting on his chest trying to cut his head off with a big old blade, and they have blade fights over there all the time because these people were foolish enough to disarm themselves. You probably won't see that here because people are heavily armed and will just shoot a brother. But this dude's stabbing this guy, gouged his eyes out, and was trying to cut his head off. There's video of it, and it is set forth a lot of speculations that the streets over there are about to explode over the violence that these immigrants are bringing to that part of the world. So I don't know if we're going to cover that tonight. It's late over there now. It's probably 10 o'clock. We've got more pressing concerns here in the country. So I'm stalling a little bit because the verdict was supposed to be read about 5 minutes ago. That does take a minute. You got to seat the jury. The judge has to confirm that they've reached unanimous decision. He'll tend to poll each juror. Sometimes they'll hear the decision first, and then they'll go to each juror and goes, "Is this your decision?" He asks each one of them specifically, he or she. I don't even know if there's a female judge involved. And that takes a few minutes. Courtroom, there's always a gasp, no matter what the verdict is. And then there'll be the reaction outside the courthouse. Okay, so we're kind of on hold. I'm going to filibuster a little bit. Let me flip over to the Iran situation while we wait on this thing. AJ, just let me know if you hear. I don't think we have a camera in the courtroom, so we're not going to hear the verdict live. We're just going to see it reported, and then we'll just cover whatever reactions. But there may be some attorney statements outside the courthouse afterwards. Typically, that's the case. Prosecutors still don't come out and say something. The defense attorneys will say something. I think this guy's going to have he's got chances on appeal to get his sentence reduced because of incompetent counsel. When the defense attorney yesterday put a defense witness on and had no idea the witness was going to admit that this Carmelo Anthony was the instigator, he was the problem that day, that blew the whole case up. And I think everybody knew it, even people in denial knew that. And I don't know if you can get far on an appeal with claiming your counsel was stupid. But, again, they raised a ton of money to hire competent counsel, and then the family blew it on whatever, and then they claimed indigent status and got a free lawyer, and this is what happened. So anyway, so tension outside the courthouse, but let me just remind you, this is not that many people. I don't know what the rest of the country thinks. I haven't seen any polling on it, but as far as the magnet of this case for dumbasses that are out there in the heat in Frisco, Texas, standing around yelling about nonsense, I think this story is over by nightfall because it's pretty obvious to everybody involved that the trial's done and we got to move on. We'll see. We'll watch it today. Much to my chagrin, we got to talk about this stupid case. Okay, to Iran. We had a helicopter shot down by the Iranians. What? They used a drone, and the president is hemming and hawing about whether or not there's going to be retaliation. He put a statement out and say we have to retaliate, but he's trying to, it appears, find a way to retaliate that also doesn't create another escalation ladder with the tension with that company and blow up any hope for a negotiated settlement to this thing. The other option, of course, is to go back in, finish the job, which a lot of us are pulling for right now. But Trump is trying to he's had to hold Israel back. He had to get both sides to quit shooting each other over the weekend. And now the Iranians sent drones it was near the Strait of Hormuz, not necessarily in it, but this Apache goes down. And the more fascinating part of the story, the two crew members that were on that plane, on that helicopter, they ditched into the Gulf of Oman, and we sent a manless drone, 24-foot boat to pick them up. It's the first rescue using a drone, a seagoing drone. We always think of drones as things that fly in the air. We got drone submarines. We got robot boats. This thing, it's an impressive looking boat. It'll hold 1,000 pounds, and it makes sense. You would just send that out there, scoop them up, and get them back to safety, not put anybody else in the line of fire in that area. You don't know what all is there, if it's a trap situation. So the technology proved itself, and they say we're going to see more and more of this kind of stuff in warfare. So the crew members are fine from the Apache. The Apache went in the drink. We think it was a drone that did it. There's even some reporting that the Iranians incidentally did it. They were doing something else and crashed into the helicopter. I don't know how true that is. Others say the thing was shot down. Either way, it's an alarming international incident. And the president, a little while ago, I didn't see that he ever made a video statement, but was about to have some kind of statement from the White House on this and probably other things. So we'll have to wait and see the disposition. What we do know about Trump is he is not going to. AJ, you seeing that there's a guilty verdict? I saw that on my screen, but you can't trust this stuff coming across right now.
I haven't heard anything just yet.
I don't see it on the CNN or the Fox screens. I think they'd put the graphic up. We can't carry their actual coverage. Sometimes we will carry pool things that everybody has, but and if we get to something like that, we'll go live. But I just saw a report come across on X, but I don't recognize the source, so we'll just wait up. There's no huge urgency. Okay, all right. What was I saying about? We were rambling about the. I was rambling about the Iran situation. So we're waiting to see what the reaction is going to be, whether kinetic, diplomatic, Trump statement, something else, and we'll see what the response is coming up here in just a little while. That's a pretty big story this afternoon. Is 1 minute Trump says we're 2 days away from a decision, but we've heard that for 6 weeks, and then we have more action where the Iranians are trying to stretch this out in two ways. The only weapon they have is to hold the strait, keep the economic damage going as long as they can to hurt Trump in the midterms. They are using the fact that Americans will poon out over economic issues and turn on a president, and that could affect an election in our country because we're just soft like that nowadays. We're hyper reactionary to things, and they know that. They're well aware of how we communicate. They spend a lot of time trying to put propaganda into our news feeds and into our social media. And it's just to keep things from happening. You've got one group that's negotiating for peace, and you got another group that still has their hands on the weapons, and they'll fire something off every other day to just to blow up the peace talks. And that appears maybe that's what's happened again. Every time you think you get close, they do something to keep it from happening. And by the way, they've always done this. They did it during the Obama negotiations. They did it during every negotiation we've had with this country. This is just their MO, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise. But we'll get more details on it coming up this afternoon. What else we got? Here at home, we had a debate last night with the candidates for statewide office for the runoff. A little controversy that Barry Moore ducked out. He said he couldn't go because he had votes. Well, he kind of does. He didn't have any till about noon today. And I got a little experience in this area because I ran a statewide campaign for a member of Congress who also had to be there and here during the campaign. You work these things out. You find flights, you get it arranged. But, that's some plausible. I guess it's plausible that if you're going to try to make it there and not miss a vote, especially with the House being so close, you got to go the day before. But realistically, he could have gone to that debate and got up early this morning, gotten out of there, and gotten to D.C. We did it all the time back in the day. But what it also tells you is I think the more people are comfortable, anytime you duck a debate when you're a week out and decide that you're just not going to go, you got to calculate the risk. Is the risk to missing greater than the risk of showing up and getting some sidewall question that throws you off and puts you on the defense the last week of an election? And the only way you choose on the side of just taking the heat for missing is if you think you're ahead far enough that you can take that much heat. Let's just say it's going to cost you a couple points, but if you're 8 up or 10 up, you can sweat that and duck debates. It's why you don't see front runners debate hardly anywhere in the country anymore. Remember Kay Ivey? She didn't debate. She didn't do anything. I mean, they just kept her. They pulled the Joe Biden and ran her anyway. And we've seen it before where you only have something to lose if you're in front. And I think by every measurable poll, Moore still has a lead. It's not comfortable, though. My man Hudson is right on his tail, and we'll see how things will shake out on Tuesday. Man, I think that's going to get us set up for this hour. AJ, let's go ahead and go to the break. I don't want to miss the verdict. We can't hold the whole show hostage to this. I just saw an aerial shot of the courthouse sort of lawn, and I bet there's not 50 people out there. Let me just say this before we go to the break, too. Television has a big role here. They're trying to stoke this tension. It keeps eyes on their screen, and they will zoom in on the anger, like I'm looking at two guys shouting at each other now. They zoom in on that, and you get the sense that the whole town of Frisco is about to burn down. It's two people. When you zoom out and look at an aerial, it's just a handful of people cordoned off, being fools, and the vertical come out, and that's it. These are not throngs of people. There are more law enforcement out there standing around, taking care of business around the courthouse. And by the way, these aren't. This is not the Portland Police Department. This is Texas. They're not going to put up with any bull squeeze. I don't think there's going to be much this afternoon. I think people understand where this thing's probably going, and we'll know here in just a little bit. All right, let's do the break. We'll come back. 545 9950 is the phone number if you want to get in on here, and we'll keep the breaking news coming and see what else we can do. Back in a minute. If you are looking at the YouTube video right now and you see a dazed look on my face, I'm waiting on AJ to give me a clue on something.
It's funny because I emailed it to myself so I could send it to you.
Just tell me, who's my first sponsor today?
That's old. Hold on. Let's see. Here we
Never
go.
mind. We'll just
BM Broker.
Birmingham Broker. I got to do them in the right order. Birmingham Broker up next. AJ gets all that ready every day, and needed a little 411 over here. Yeah, Birmingham Broker. What a cool little shop down there. I got to hang out with him a little bit yesterday. I missed Craig. I hated that because I just love hanging out with Craig. Some people are just always in a good mood. I don't know if I've ever seen Craig stressed out or pissed off. Maybe once. I think it was when we were over at Mandy. He wasn't pissed off, but he was tired because we did a workout over there one day. And but Craig's just one of those kind of guys that his personality makes him good at sales and what he does for a living. And he and Keith and those guys get these cars moved for people. It's a service. You take your car down there, and they get it on the kind of put it on the block and find the buyers. Their milkshake brings the boys to the yard. They get the. Did I just say that? I need more coffee.
You did.
I'm trying to shake the spot up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they will put the car out there, and the buyers show up, and they get it sold, transact the paperwork. Life is good. I just really, really love the concept of this service. It really comes from a kind of a bougie concept where a lot of wealthy guys. Craig's always been plugged into the car world, and he knows some of the owners of these. I mean, I did a rally with him one time, and we had several cars in this rally that were over $1 million. And these cars have to be run, so they put them together and run them, then put them back up and service them. And these are antiques and supercars and collectibles. And those guys don't go sell their own cars when they're ready to move out of one because they want to collect something else or buy a horse. I don't know. They get Craig to do it. And one day, Craig and his team said, why don't we just do this for everybody? I mean, some people need help getting the deal done on the pricing of it, on the negotiation. If you're like me, I just don't even like haggling. I don't like getting into it with people. And I don't like doing the paperwork because it's tedious. I'm afraid I'm going to miss not dot an I or cross a T, and they handle all that for you. It's like a concierge service. You get a big old fat check. It's a bigger check than obviously you're going to get if you go trade one in. It's a bigger check if you try to do it yourself, even minus their consignment fee. You'll love the way this works. So if you're ready to do some trading this summer, sometimes you just get new car fever. Go take yours down, let them unload it. And like yesterday, I'm still dreaming about this 85 CJ7 with just a few thousand miles on it. AJ, you know how hard it was for me to not try to haggle over that car and try to buy it? I had to justify just walking away from it. That thing was cool. They get stuff like that down there all the time from people that have sure enough, collectible cars you wouldn't sell on Facebook Marketplace. You got to put them out there in the real world. It's Birmingham Broker, 4th Avenue South, down there around 23rd and 4th. Y'all go see them and tell them we said, hey, get that car sold. All right, all eyes on the TV screens right now. Let me see if there's anything else we need to be covering. I got a feeling once we get this verdict, we'll have to sort of hyperanalyze that and probably get some reaction to it and then see what else is going on today. So the two big things in the hour are potential Trump reaction to the helicopter shoot down. And then, of course, we've got the situation where we now have a verdict in the murder of Austin Metcalf. No clue as to what it is. And I went through some of the possibilities just a few minutes ago, as I understand it from a distance. And then we don't know. There's generally, I'm going to model my experience here in Alabama and covering trials in Georgia after Texas. Southern states tend to do things similar ways. There's generally the trial phase and then a sentencing phase. So depending on the charge, if he's convicted, with all those qualifiers, whatever he would be convicted of, outside of not guilty on all accounts, he would be facing a range. And then that part of the trial has to take place. A lot of times here in Alabama, we'll immediately enter into the sentencing phase. Everybody's in place. And in some states, I don't know how Texas is going to do this, but there's almost another little trial where witnesses get to come forward to testify as to, generally those are character witnesses. You'll have people come say, well, Carmelo was a good boy his whole life. He just made a mistake. Where you've admitted guilt now, you've been convicted, but you're trying to get the sentence to be mitigated by those things, or in some cases aggravated by those things. And then a jury in some states will give a sentencing recommendation and based on the range, and then the judge has some discretion over implementing the sentence. In federal court, there are a lot of mandatory minimums, so there's no choice in the sentence upon conviction. So I'll have to do some study up real quick during the break to see what would happen in the next phase of this thing. But we do have a verdict, so no hung jury. It came back quickly, and the whole courthouse is surrounded, and we're waiting on the jury to come out and tell us what they found. Back here in just a minute, Leland Live. It's 2:34. You ain't kidding. That's another surprise, AJ. Where'd you find that, man?
Man, I can't give you all
That's
my
outstanding.
secrets, man.
All right, then. I like it when you catch me by surprise.
Yeah, but you know who this is?
Who?
Dusty Rust.
Who the hell is that?
That's who is playing the song.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was like somebody I was supposed to know. It was like one of our listeners.
But now you do know who
AI?
he is. There you go.
Dusty Rust.
Dusty Rust.
Is that
right
his
on.
name? Is that his mama? Did his mama name him
Probably
Dusty
not.
Rust?
I mean,
Probably
I
not.
met a couple of Dusties, but maybe because they were Dusty.
As a
but-
white guy, I know a lot of Dusties.
Yeah.
I don't know any Dusty Rust. That rhymes too. Remember Dusty Rhodes?
Ooh, yes.
The tower of power, too sweet to be sour, baby.
Yeah. I remember Dusty Rhodes.
I would love to have seen. I heard them talking this morning on the morning show about wrestling. That, for some reason, they got into wrestling, which I found quite entertaining. And they talk about the old school guys. I would just as soon see that if I could see that at the White House than this UFC stuff. This UFC stuff is brutal and fascinating because it's just brutal. But if you could bring back Andre the Giant and Dusty Rhodes, and over in my section of the woods, there was Mr. Wrestling #1 and Mr. Wrestling #2.
Yes.
Your dad was a wrestler, was he not?
Yeah, he was the Harlem Kid.
The Harlem Kid.
Yeah, when he was in Japan in the military and Air Force, over the weekend he will wrestle in the Japanese wrestling.
Did he wrestle Japanese guys?
Well, he was more of the manager. He was like the bad guy manager, so he managed the guy who actually did the wrestling.
Gotcha. And then Andrew McLean could be in on it. Captain Charisma.
Mm-hmm.
We could make it a thing. We'd have Dixon be a ring girl. It would work. I'm just trying to be stupid right now.
It says Anthony was convicted of murder.
Convicted of murder. Okay, so not manslaughter. That's the maximum charge. It was a quick decision. I mean, that's just how the case went. If you're being objective and you're not full of yourself. And by the way, no one involved in the trial evoked race in the case. This was not a racial case. There was no allegation that he killed Metcalf because he's white. Most of the witnesses against Anthony were black because they were all athletes on the team, mixed race team. They all sticking up for their teammate. This was never a race thing, but some people see the whole world through that prism, and that's all they're ever. You can't reason with folks like that. They're not going to listen to evidence. They don't understand the law, and so now they're about to act stupid for a little while outside the courthouse. So, AJ, good call. He caught that as soon as it came across. Convicted on murder. Usually we hear all counts, but I think it was just a single count. I could have that wrong. I had to reboot my computer because all kinds of stuff was coming across, and it got all jammed up. Sometimes that happens. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let me kind of give you some play-by-play. By the way, have any of y'all ever done jury duty? I would never, and I've said this before, straight admit it, I will never in my life get picked for a jury. They will never, AJ, they will never pick me. People talked about how they vetted people off the jury. They vetted a lot of the black people in the jury pool off because they told the prosecutors, they said, nope, I could never send a black kid to prison. Well, that makes you unqualified to be on the jury. You got to be fair-minded. You can't be biased. I'm biased. I'm the same kind of biased in that I would go in, not in this case, but any case, I would have a hard time shaking my disposition that the person's probably guilty unless you see otherwise. And that flips the concept on its head. Concept is you presume they're innocent. Doesn't mean they are innocent. And let me try to explain that. Some people think that means you walk around innocent until a jury can convict you. No. That's just a disposition for court as the state looks at you. They can't convict you until they prove that you're guilty. In the real world, the way God saw what you did, you're probably guilty. Or the way the world actually knows, you could be guilty as hell. But in our system, to be punished, they have to start with innocence and force the state to show that you did what they've accused you that you did beyond a reasonable doubt, all 12 jurors. That's our standard. It's a high standard for conviction. And by the way, the Carmelo Anthony defense had the advantage going into this because of that. All defendants do. The prosecutor had to show the jury what happened. And so in this case, it was easy. They got the kids dead. They got dozens of witnesses. They got the knife. They got video of it. It happened. It's open and shut. The only question was whether the other side could prove in some reasonable way that this kid felt that his life was in danger and there was never a threat to his life never any fatal force used on Carmelo Anthony, and he was the provocateur under Texas law. Your self-defense claims are weaker if you instigate an incident, and he clearly was the instigator here. So, and then you got people that feel sorry for his mama. As a parent, I'm always gonna have some sympathy for parents that your kids go sideways. But this kid was sideways for a long time. I think the mom has some culpability here for the way she raised this kid. I mean, we got a whole society full of parents that get away with not parenting, and then their kids get unleashed on society, and we're supposed to feel sorry for the kids when they get in trouble. I kind of want to blame the parents too. We need to parent better in this country because these kids have chips on their shoulders, and they're all walking around like victims, and they think they're justified in anything they do, and they're not. And some of them are going to get justice. And the real reality here, the saddest thing for the Austin Metcalf family, is no matter what you think about Carmelo Anthony, he's still better off than Metcalf. Metcalf's dead. He never got to live the rest of his life. This kid is killed in high school. He never got to do anything. He was killed. He was stabbed in the chest and murdered in front of his twin brother in high school. Yeah, I think the worst outcome by far is for the Metcalf family. So good. Justice was handed out today, and we'll see what everybody else has to say about it this afternoon. Back to the jury duty for just a minute. We'll just stay on the subject. I've had family members get out of jury duty simply because I am their relative. They'll ask you in some of the questioning, do you listen to talk radio? Which talk radio? Which host? So I had a former relative to raise their hand and go, yeah, I'm related to Leland on Leland Live. They were like, you're out. Get out. Get out of the courtroom. I mean, the thing is, okay, because what the defense attorneys want people that are malleable and open-minded, and the prosecutors obviously want people that are at least show a propensity to listen to the evidence for conviction. You don't want the extremes on there, and that's what the whole process to vet them out is. And here I am in this weird position in the world where I get paid. I mean, my job is to have an opinion. It just is. And sometimes at home I bring that up, AJ. I'll say something, Jessica will disagree with me. I'm like, look, I get paid to have an opinion. And then she shuts me down and wins the argument. But the truth is, if you are predisposed to any kind of bias, you should vet yourself off the jury. You should be honest, which I believe these potential black jurors did. They were very honest and told the truth about how they felt about cases like this, and that got them off the jury. By the way, this wasn't an all-white jury. There were many ethnic minorities on the jury, just no black folks on the jury. And you're not entitled to a jury that's your same skin color. You're just not. You're entitled to a fair jury. And when people say, when the law describes it as of your peers, it doesn't mean people that are just like you. It means that in the days when our court system was put together, you would have a group of aristocrats or lords or landholders that would be on the jury and decide everything. They were the people that owned everything. They were the people that were in the power structure, and they were the judges of common people that would come before these courts. And so what they wanted to do is make it where any citizen, for whatever that means nowadays, the left is trying to take citizenship away from us as well, that any citizen properly vetted, that's fair-minded, should be on that court so that there's at least a shot that somebody is impoverished or doesn't have the means or status in the community will have a shot at getting a fair trial. And so that system has worked. It goes wrong sometimes. I've seen it go wrong on both sides. I've seen people walk that I was sure were guilty. I've seen people get convicted. It's rarer because of the standard, but I've seen people get convicted where there was very much doubt. We've seen cases overturned. New technology and DNA evidence has helped with that. But you're never going to see a clean-cut case like this. I don't know how much more clean it could get. I mean, there was almost no other option but to present all this evidence and wait on the jury. Again, it was a very, very quick verdict. I think they only deliberated at most 2.5 hours. I was trying to keep an eye on the clock. And usually, conventional wisdom is that a quick verdict means you're going to get a guilty verdict because they're not locked up on some point of law, or you don't have a single juror in there that just doesn't quite know or have the confidence to do it. Sometimes it goes the other way. I told you all the story the other day about a public official, a state senator, that got away with absolutely stealing money from the taxpayers because a jury was bored with the prosecution, was not paying attention, and confused by the case, and they came back rapid fire and just acquitted this guy. So sometimes it does go quickly on acquittal as well. But so far, so good. I'm looking at the video outside the courthouse. I don't see any fisticuffs or any overreaction. There'll be dumb things said, but this is America. You can say stupid stuff. It's what we do here. You got a right to remain stupid. And any stupid thing you say.
Well, I don't think anything stupid is going to happen. The cops are out there, and anything that's there was a little skirmish.
I know it.
For a little bit, but the cops went ahead and shut it down.
I think they've done a good job on security. They got a heavy presence, and the cops are very politely dealing with people.
I mean, emotions are high right now. So.
Yeah, and they always are. I was almost part of a fight in the hallways down at Jefferson County Courthouse. It was incidental, but we had two families after a verdict came back that they had been pushing and shoving and eyeballing each other at every recess during the very tense murder trial back in the day. And at one point, they got too close to each other when the doors opened after the verdict was read, and it was on in the hallway, and I was right in the middle of it and got shoved around a little bit. But I tried to stay out of it because I was there to cover it and didn't want to participate. But I've seen a lot of tense situations. You've seen people lunge at judges. You've seen people lash at juries. We don't know what the scene was in the courtroom or how anybody reacted. My understanding is they only let 27 people in there. They got in line this morning. And outside the people that have to be there, the attorneys, the prosecutors, and everybody that's sitting around the bailiffs, the jurors themselves, and the court officials, you just got in line. So as far as public witnesses, you just lined up, and I think they would let 27 people in there to sit around and watch. So we don't know who those people were or what their previously beliefs were on any of this stuff. So, well, now that story's got a punctuation mark on it. More on it later if there is anything else to report. But just to repeat, convicted of murder in Frisco, Texas, in the murder of Austin Metcalf. This Anthony now faces, I think, up to 99 years in prison. By the way, I did a little homework last night. He was not eligible for the death penalty mainly because of his age as well when the incident happened. I think he was also 17, and that kept him from being eligible for a death sentence. Manduu bringing you the show tonight, MANDUU, Manduu.com. Y'all, this is different. I just mentioned it when I was talking about Craig Westbrook. He came over and did it with me, man, and I'm telling you, it's intense. It's not like going to a gym. There's not even a gym environment. I remember the first time I went to try it out, I wore my gym clothes. I changed out like I was going to a workout, but you don't even have to do that. You're going to wind up changing out of what you wear in to put on their garments, because that's how the suit works. It's got to fit real snug on your skin. They provide the undergarment that they kind of provide this undergarment that they wet down. They have to moisten it so that you got a good contact. And then the suit they put on you is kind of like a dive suit, or maybe if you're going, like you were going to go dive and or like a life jacket almost. And it covers all the muscle groups. And then they hook you to the machine, and it sends a tiny little current onto those electrodes in that suit, and it flexes your muscles as you move. You move, you stretch, they walk you through each exercise, and you're not straining yourself. The machine's making your muscles tense up. Feels weird. Feels really weird. But when you're done, you get it. You're like, wow, that was intense. I haven't felt like this in years, because to feel like that, you'd have to go hang around in the gym for hours, just loitering around in there, waiting on the equipment. It's nasty. It's sweaty. Sometimes they're meat markets. It's just a pain in the ass. There's a stage of life where you're over all that anyway, and you give up on yourself. Try this. It's not that. It's very personal. It's one-on-one. You get your own dressing room. You knock the workout out in 15 minutes, and you're on with your day. And again, you can walk in there and dress like you want to and put your clothes back on and keep going. Manduu, they're in Homewood, downtown, on that big downtown stretch, second floor. MANDUU, Manduu.com, Manduu.com. Axiom Tax Resolution Group helping you unwind. That's Perry. I mean, he's got a group. He's got a team, and some of his family's in there with him. His daughter works with him. It's like a lot of our advertisers here on the show. They just two generations, and I'm telling you, I love that because those are folks that pay attention. This is their family business. This is what they do. This is what they're associated with, and that's Perry. Perry's a straight expert. You will not find a person in this country that knows more about dealing with the IRS than Perry Cronin. And we're lucky to have somebody with this kind of expertise with a business like this amongst us, handling things when it gets weird or pear-shaped or sideways with the Internal Revenue Service. They can be sons of, well, anyway, it's difficult. But here's the deal. And I know some IRS agents that are good, decent people. They work for a guerrilla agency that everybody hates, but they know it. If you're working with them and you're not running, they don't have to chase you. They will actually, the laws provide ways for you to work it out, and they'll work it out. But usually only when they know you've got professional representation like Perry, and they know you know your rights, and they know they're not going to get away with shading you a little bit or intimidating you, because Perry's there to be a wall between you and that and to get it worked out. There are programs like the Fresh Start Initiative can get you 80% off that tax liability. Boy, that is peace of mind. You might sleep all night now after you get that settled and off your back. Because the thing is, by the time you get it worked out, there's another tax deadline. It's not like a hospital bill that's weighing you down. There's going to be another one next April. So let's get this worked out. Perry can help. He'll sit down with you face to face. The fact that he's local is a huge plus for us, and way better than calling some random 800 number from a TV ad where they're just going to hand you off for a referral to somebody. I don't know who they are. I know who Perry is. He's good. He's real good. Axiom Tax Resolution Group. That website sounds like a phone number because he's got the area code in there, but it's 205tax.com. That's all you need to remember. If you want the phone number, it's 205-872-1100, Axiom Tax Resolution Group. Here's Bill. We'll start with the phones. We'll get some of y'all's reaction to this case. We haven't dwelt too much on the case. It's come up a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, but it's a big national story now that the verdict is in. Bill, what you know, man?
Okay. So my story is about, jury duty, and it's on a case in Jefferson County here. And so I'm up there, and of course the defense attorneys are asking questions, about this and that, do you know, any law enforcement people or what all you do and everything. So one of the defense attorneys, after I raised my hand about the fourth time, he looked at me and said, "Mr. McDonald, I don't have any room to write down anything about you anymore. I'm full up." So
he let you go?
I got kicked off. He let me go because he had made too many notes about me.
Yeah, we had a friend of the family a couple of weeks ago to get kicked off because she was best friends with a lawyer. Let me just put it that way. That's not even in practice, but somebody that just happened to have a law degree. Somehow this case involved a lawyer that they were about to get seated for, and just because they were related to the industry, that was enough, and they kicked them off the case.
Yeah, that's. I had another. I think it was in that same deal too. I was sitting up there waiting to get on the jury, and so the prosecuting attorney walks in, after we were sitting over there in the gallery, and we spied each other, and so he's a friend of mine. We did competition shooting together, and so he had to tell the judge, "Your Honor, that Mr. McDonald over here is a friend of mine." He said, the judge says, "Theo, I guess he must be one of your shooting buddies." And so, yes, sir. And so that sent me out too.
Yep, that'll happen. And look, they're doing their jobs. They've got to try to find the fairest people they can. And there's a lot of manipulation in that process. There's a whole science associated with trying to get certain people on a jury just to hang it up. Corporate America does that a lot in these civil cases. But there are whole movies written about how this works. I forget the name of them, but I've watched just fictional accounts of how this jury selection goes. The thing is, they would ask me, are you capable of rendering a fair, verdict? And I would go, hell no, I would hang him. Look, can I pull the trigger? Come on. No. I mean, I would just admit it. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, John Grisham wrote a book about that.
Yeah, he did. A bunch of them. Thank you, Bill. Yeah, I mean, it's just true. I mean, I would not be a good juror. I'd be predisposed to throw the book at them. All of them. Convict. It's like, sir, he's only being charged with illegally parking downtown Birmingham. Be like, I don't care, death row. I'm hardcore.
But here's the thing. I think they might want you on the jury then.
Well, the prosecutor might, but the defense.
You know what? Yeah, we like this.
That's why the defense attorney gets a strike. Nope. Get that redneck out of here. Now, the truth is, I mean, anybody that's of, and I'm not trying to say they want dumb people on the jury, but they don't want super informed people on juries that have dug in opinions. You know what I mean? They want people that are a little more disconnected to all these things.
Yeah, it was. I was talking to a judge not too long ago, and I was just asking him this question because with the all this information is out here, right? You whether it's social media, whether it's television, whether you watch stuff that's on the right that have a certain opinion, you watch something that's on the left that have a certain opinion. Like you have all this vast information, regardless if it's good information or bad information. How is it that when you get on this jury, it's like you tune it out because it's not like you don't have this cell phone with you everywhere you go. Obviously, you get prelude to some information that not everybody gets information to and see, but it's like it's like justice is blind and you gotta have, but
it's supposed to be an honor system where the judge tells you don't go home and read anything, don't watch any TV.
I don't think that's what happens.
And you got to hope they don't do it or don't talk, don't discuss. They'll tell them when they go home, don't discuss this case with anybody. They do it.
Hey, I'm finna send a group chat. I'm finna tell y'all everything.
Listen, I've told the story about how we thought as a group of reporters we had botched a case and biased a jury at lunch. I've told this story so many times. I'll just try to do it quickly. So down at the Jefferson County Courthouse, there used to be this little dinette place right across the street in the parking deck in the corner called Sophia's. And it was a quick little meet and three. And when they'd get a break in the case, you had to kind of hurry to get over there because it got crowded and real fast. Had little booths. And then next thing you know, because you didn't want to give up your parking space. If you got a parking space downtown for the trial, you didn't want to give that up. So you went to the closest place you could. So we were sitting in Sophia's one day talking about the case we had covered for a week. It was me and a couple of newspaper guys, and I think one other TV person, different outlets. And we were talking all about the case. I mean, we were talking. I was like, hell yeah, he did it. I mean, we were just talking about it. And I looked up across the booth, and the group behind us had juror tags on. And then I recognized them. They were on the case we were talking about. We were loud too, AJ. We were real loud. Mm-hmm. So we went to the judge and told him what happened. And I thought we were going to get admonished and just all kind of – because we didn't know. We just weren't paying attention. We were out in public. But it turns out the judge brought all the jurors in and polled them. They didn't hear a thing we said. But I had convicted that guy and already sentenced him to death 3 feet away at lunch.
He just littered.
and I didn't put any of that in my reporting either. Back in a minute.